Well, welcome back. 2018 Nissan Altima. Basic maintenance. Needs rear brakes. They're getting real close. We're going to replace the pads and rotors on the rear of this car. Alright, so pretty simple setup. Two slide pins for the caliper, 14 millimeter. Two knuckle bolts that bolt the bracket to the knuckle, 19 millimeter. So I've broken the 14s loose already. This car has about 42,000 miles on it, so it's not like most of the cars I see which are covered in rust. This is actually pretty simple. There's a collar, vibration rubber collar on the top pin. Just remember that and put it back. Usually there's only one of them. Yep. So the top one has the collar on it. So just take them out, set this right up on the control arm for now. Let that sit there. Should stay put, I think, for us. Now I'm going to reach in behind here. Try to break this loose with a wrench if I can, and a hammer. Yep, it's coming loose. Hit my light. Almost hit my light. There's one. Top one's loose. Nice when there's no rust. This must be what it's like to work on a car in the Southwest. All right. There you go. That's it right there. It just slides in, bolts from the back. Pads, you can see, they're getting close. These pads are getting pretty close. So we're going to, we can just pull these pads out. There's no squealer on the outside, squealer at the top on the inside of these. So that's where it'll go back. We always replace the hardware. Always, always, always. We will clean in behind here. These are not rusty too bad at all, so I can probably just wire wheel these, clean them up a little bit. These boots pop right off. I'm just going to set them aside so I don't have to worry about hitting them with a wire wheel. We'll clean in there, we'll grease behind it, and we'll put it back together. Let's see if this is going to be the one problem right here on this hub. This always corrodes around the hub and has a tendency not to want to come off of there. So let me get my smaller hammer and see if I can get this loose without too much problem here. It's not hung up on the braking pads. I can turn it. So the parking brake. It's one you don't need a lot of tools for. At least I can tell. This could be fun though. This is always I could just see it around this hub. There it goes. Not too bad. Popped off. Good. We'll spray this down with brake clean, of course. I'm going to take this bracket over to the wire wheel, clean it up. We'll come back, we'll grease it, put new hardware on it, and get it ready to go. All right, got my bracket here. It's all cleaned up. Wire wheeled that really good. We're going to come in behind, grease it now. Metal to metal. That's what I like to use. Just get a little bit of that. You don't need a lot. You just need a thin coating. So we're going to come in here behind where the hardware goes. Just going to put a little bit on there, either end, and I'll use my finger to move it around. Just trying to get it in the light for you here. Hopefully you can see that. And there, just covered it up. Same with this side. One more. Okay, got a thin coating on behind where the hardware goes. Let me get the hardware and we'll put that together. I got my hardware here. We'll just clip that into place like this. Clip it right in. Should go right on there, hopefully. Should. Kind of strange how it's set up, but any difference? I don't think there's any difference in this. Nope, don't seem to be. Do the same thing here. put it in there correctly. Okay, so that's ready to go. We'll just set that down because we're still going to clean in here. We have to, I want to spray down inside the, spray these brake pads down a little bit, parking brake pads. The grease still looks really good. I mean, this car's pretty new. I'm not even, normally I'd pull these apart and grease them, but usually I see cars when they're 15 years old and this is actually, still, I can still see all the grease in it, so I'm not going to touch it. But I did spray that down. I want to clean my caliper as well. Reach in here and pull that back out. Now, I want to clean the face of this, and I'll clean the back of the tabs here, right here. My light, I want to clean them as well, so I blind you. Depending how corroded they are, use a file or any cloth, or I think for this, they're not very bad at all. Although I do need that light. We're just going to use a piece of Scotch spray, I think, and that's all I need to do. But you can't use a file in here. You just want to remove the corrosion. Back of the tabs here. Clean them off. And then the face of this piston, metal. I like to clean it before I push the piston back in. Yeah, see, this is really surface rust. It cleaned right up with a piece of Scotch Brite. Most of the ones I see are a lot worse, but that one's not bad. I'll move these out of the way because I'm gonna clean this off with a coarse chemical for 1001 uses. I'm going to push the piston back in. I'll take one of my old pads, just set it in there. You can use a C-clamp or something to do this. I have a little tool to do it. Check your reservoir. Make sure it's not full right to the top, so when you push these back in, it doesn't overflow it. This is fine. There like that, just like that, and it should go back in easily, pretty easily. If it doesn't, you get a bad caliper or a clogged line, clogged flexible line. So push that back in, you'll feel it seat. That's it. It's right back in there. We'll check the boot here. See, this boot has a little bulge in it right here. So I'm going to show you how to fix that too. So you need to fix that. It gets a little bit of air in there. Get that out. Let me get a tool. So it's got some air, a little bit of bulge. So you don't want to poke a hole in it. I'm going to go in against the metal piston and kind of go down to the seal and kind of burp it, kind of push it out and burp this thing. And it's giving me grief, but you got to kind of work it back in. There it goes. There it goes. See, the air came right out of it. Now it's back to not looking deformed like it was before. That's how it should be. So metal to metal. Use the same grease. Permatex Ceramic Extreme. Cover the back of the tabs that ride on the outside back of the outside pad, and cover the face of this piston, which rides on the back of the inside pad. Just want a thin coat on them. You're just trying to keep corrosion out of there is all you're doing. That's ready to go. So let's get the I'm gonna clean this hub up a little bit. It's corroded around here. That's where they always corrode. And I want to clean this and grease it. I'm going to come around here. This is not too bad. You could use a cookie wheel or emery cloth in here. I'm just going to clean this up. And then I'll put a light coat of high temperature grease. Has to be high temperature grease on there. Just helps to keep it from corroding around, especially around the hub flange and sticking to it. And you saw me having to beat it off a little bit. It wasn't too bad, but had to pound it off of there a little bit to get it loose when I first tried to get the rotor off. That's what happened. So we'll just clean that up. Thin coat. Okay. Get the rotor here. These rotors have to be, I'm going to spray them down with brake clean. Clean them up. Those are not fully coated rotors. So I'm going to clean them. Got a nice rag here. We'll just spray them down and clean them. I like especially get the back of them because they're harder to get at the back and the inside. Okay, put them back on, and then I will remember where your adjuster is. On this one, it's up top. So I'll put my adjuster where I can reach in. I'll show you what I want to put this up top so I can adjust it. Now I want to clean the outside now. These might have come in one of those no rust bags. They don't seem to have coating on them. Not a lot of them have coating on them anymore, but you have to clean, but I like to clean them just to be sure. Okay, that's good. We'll hang our, get our bracket ready here. I'm gonna put my boots back on. Make sure to get them back on in place. They just go right on there, no problem. You want to check them, make sure they're not cracked or dry rotted. These are fine. A little dirty from brake dust, but they're fine. I'm going to set that right back in place. Just like that. Bolts right back in there. No thread locker on these. Not on this car, at least. Your brake pads, like I said, indicator goes on the top inside. It's where it came off. That's where it's going to go back. And slip that in. You'll be able to see it better when I do the outside one. Push it right up against the rotor. Outside, same thing. Slip it in, just like that. Should move pretty easy. Went right in there, no problem. We'll get our pins here. We'll just take our caliper, which is greased now. It's all ready to go. Piston's pushed back in. We'll just set it in place for a second. Should stay put for me. Make sure you get your boots lined up here. Get them so the bolt can go through them. Let that sit. Now we'll put our bolts in. We'll do the top one first. These are nice and clean, but I am going to re-grease them. You don't need a lot of grease. Thin coat. You don't want tons. There's no corrosion on these at all. It's just actually nice for a change. I use silicone formula, Permatex for this. Brake grease. You can buy these in individual packets at the auto parts store. You know, if you're doing your own car, you don't want to buy a whole can of it. You'll never use it. Just buy a little packet. Sometimes brakes come with them. Depends on the brakes you buy. Or brake pads, I should say. Alright, slide that back in. Right here. Just get that started. Get the bottom one now. Same thing. Clean it off. Re-grease it. Make sure you get some up in this groove. That's where the boot's going to grab. You want to get a little bit up in there and seal that top so you can't get moisture in there and corrosion can't start. Thin coat. That's it. Good to go. These are pretty clean because the car's not that old. My boot lined up. Turn that in. Get these started. Now, don't crush these. These are just need to be snugged up. They're not that tight. You gotta tighten them, snug them up, but don't kill them. 14 millimeter head, they don't need to be killed. Just pull, make sure the boot gets a hold of the bolt. The bolt's got a little like indent around it where the boot's going to sit in. It should move in and out with the bolt, which these are. It's got a hold of it. You want to make sure that that's the case. Looks good. Okay. Tighten them up. Be a good idea, wouldn't it? I know I had to do something. Let's snug these up. Don't crush them, like I said. Come on, light. Come on, you're doing so well. All right. Adjust the. I like to always adjust the parking brake. These move in and out real easy. Now, before you drive this, pump your brakes up till they get firm, or you get a scary moment. You got to reseat the piston, push the piston back out, reseat it against the brake pad. So let me get a screwdriver and we'll adjust this parking brake. And just hold the rotor in place for me. Get the light and line up my adjuster again. It's right dead in the middle. I don't know which way it's going. I should have checked it before easy if you check it when the rotor's not on there. It's right there. Come on. Oh, that's fighting me. Huh. I'm going the wrong way. I need to get a screwdriver. I'm not liking this one. Alright, so adjuster's at the top, so we're just going to reach into that star wheel and move it. And I like to move it until it locks, until it's all the way out against the inside of the rotor. And it won't move anymore. I don't know if I'm moving it the right way or not. I don't know. I think I'm going the wrong way. Push it down. I have to rotate it down. It will stop when it gets up out against the inside of that rotor. And those pads get pushed out. Yeah, there it is. See, now it won't turn. That's all the way out. So I've rotated it and expanded that adjustment wheel, and it pushed the pads out against the inside of it, so now it won't move. So now I just want to go the other way. For this one on the passenger side, I had to rotate it down to tighten it, so I'm going to just rotate it back up a little bit. Just back it off a little bit. I like a little drag on them. That's pretty good. There's not really much drag there, but a little bit. That's about it. Put the transfer your rubber dust shield here off your old one. Right here. I'm going to pull that out. What I will say is be careful doing it, because if you push it all the way through, you get to pull the rotor off to get it out of there. Not that I've ever done that. Yeah, right. So just pop that one back in there. That's it. Obviously, we'll put the wheel back on. We'll torque that wheel. I'm going to grease the face of this as well with high temp grease. Real thin coat because it's not coated. Keep the wheel from sticking to it and corroding to it. Same as I did on the inside. Just a thin coat. You get that electrochemical reaction between, especially between alloy wheels and steel. Tends to stick to them. So we'll just put a thin coat on that as well. Keep that from happening. Make it easy for the next person that's in here to get the wheel off without any problem. some more grease. I'm almost out. Okay. And put the wheel back on there and we're good to go. But pretty simple. Basic maintenance. Always change your hardware. Always change your hardware. Put my light back in here. That makes it look better. And always grease behind the hardware, clean surfaces. You wouldn't think, it doesn't take very long to do it. You wouldn't think it makes that much of a difference, but it does. It makes a big difference. So that's it. Basic maintenance. 2018 Nissan Altima. Pretty simple. I'm on the other side from where I was showing most of the work, but that's the adjuster, and you see that little star wheel in the middle, and you can see to the left that there's a threaded portion. And when you turn that thing one way, it's going to thread it in, and you turn it the other way, it's going to thread it out. It's going to push the pads out or push the pads in, the braking, the parking brake pads. So that's what you're doing when you're adjusting them. You're actually pushing them in and out and get them close. Like I said, I always push them out so they're right up against the inside of the rotor, and the rotor won't move, and then I back it off a little bit so it's just a little bit of drag, and that's how I like them. But that's the adjuster wheel. Spinning it one way or the other moves it, those pads in or out. Well, that's it for the 2018 Nissan Altima. One thing I forgot to say earlier is you need to bed the pads to the rotors. You want to take it out and drive it, up around 40-50 miles an hour, brake down to, somewhat aggressively down to 10 or 20 miles an hour. Go back out again, do the same thing maybe 2 or 3 times, let it cool down a little bit, then kind of repeat that process and maybe do that 8-10 times. It beds the pads to the rotor so you get good braking power. If you have to do this for your car, I hope it helps you out. If you like the video, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.